The diplomatic hangar of the Aeltharin consulate glittered with floating shards of light, each fragment dancing in the air like slow-moving stars. Human Lieutenant Aaron Hale was trying his best not to stare at any of them. Every time one drifted too close to his face, it reflected his own expression, tired, anxious, and painfully aware that he did not belong here. He was a logistics officer, not a diplomat. He managed supply routes and atmospheric landers, not political ceremonies. Yet after the mishap on the previous outpost, the fleet reassigned him here temporarily, which was diplomatic code for please don't break anything else. Aaron adjusted his collar, glanced at the glowing pillars holding up the hall, and reminded himself to breathe. The Aeltharin were famous for their sensory sharpness. Every movement, every heartbeat, every micro-vibration in his throat, they perceived all of it. So the last thing he wanted was to look like a malfunctioning engine in front of them. Then the world shifted. The crowd parted, not in panic, but in instinctive reverence. Soft silver light spilled across the floor like liquid moonfare. She entered Princess Heir. Even from a distance, she looked unreal, tall, graceful, her long, luminous ears tapering upward like sculpted crystal. Her eyes were the kind humans weren't built to forget. Glowing sapphire rings around pupils shaped like soft diamonds, bright enough to reflect the entire room. Every step she took shimmered with faint bioluminescent radiance, tracing delicate patterns across her skin. Aaron's breath left him entirely. He'd seen holograms, briefing files, official portraits. None had mentioned that she would look like this. Beside him, Specialist Nova leaned in. "Stop staring. You're gonna burn a hole in her with your eyeballs." "I'm not staring," Aaron whispered. "You absolutely are." He forced himself to look away. He needed to focus on his assignment, standing still, blending in, definitely not thinking about alien royalty. Don't look at her again. Don't think about how beautiful she is. Don't think about how you're basically a malfunctioning human toaster in comparison. Something shifted, silence, sudden total silence. It took him a full second to realize the entire hall had stopped talking. Whether out of instinct or dread, every alien head turned in the same direction. Heir had stopped walking. Her ears had flicked upward, locking on something behind Aaron. No, on him, Nova froze. "Oh no, Aaron, what did you just say?" "Nothing," he murmured, panicked. "Aaron, did you think something out loud again?" He paled. He had absolutely done that thing his therapist warned him about. The thing he always did under stress. He muttered under his breath, muttered it out loud. "I wish someone like her could ever look at someone like me." And Princess Heir had heard him. Of course she had. The Aeltharin didn't just hear sound, they felt sound, intention, wavelength, sincerity. His words must have hit her senses like a flare. Heir crossed the hall in a straight line. Her entourage scrambled after her. Aaron felt his lungs collapse into themselves. "Nova," he whispered, "I'm about to die, right?" "I mean, probably." Nova squeaked. Heir stopped directly in front of him. The scent of something soft and electric, like starlit rain, drifted from her. Her voice, when she spoke, was impossibly calm. "You said something." Aaron's entire soul attempted to evacuate his body. "Your Highness," he stammered. I apologize if I offended." "You wished," she said quietly, "that someone like me could look at someone like you." He wanted to melt through the floor. It was a private thought accidentally spoken aloud. "I didn't mean. Did you mean the wish?" His throat locked. Her eyes glowed brighter, searching his face with a focus that made him feel naked, transparent. "Yes," Aaron breathed. "I meant it." A ripple of emotion passed over her features, shock, confusion, something like wonder. Her luminous markings flickered. And then she whispered, barely audible but clearly meant for him. "My answer is yes." The hall erupted into chaos, gasps, cries, a dozen nobles shouting at once. Aaron stood frozen, brain short-circuiting. "I what?" he croaked. Heir lifted her chin, speaking louder this time. "If you wish for my attention, Lieutenant Aaron Hale, then you have it, fully." You can't mean." "I do, and by Aeltharin tradition, a wish spoken with pure resonance binds the listener to answer with equal honesty." A guard tried to intervene. "Your Highness, this is reckless." "Be silent," she commanded, never looking away from Aaron. He swallowed hard. "Your Highness, I didn't mean to invoke any binding tradition." "Then retract it," she said softly. "Say the wish was false, and I will walk away." Everything in him screamed to escape, to back out, to avoid disaster. But when he looked into her eyes, truly looked, he saw something he didn't expect. The council chamber above them descended into shouting so loud that even Aaron, whose human hearing was embarrassingly average, felt it vibrate through his bones. Guards surged forward in a half-circle, all aimed at separating him from the princess. Sailira raised a single hand. The guards froze mid-step, not hesitating, freezing, muscles locked, bodies held in place by some invisible force. Aaron swallowed. Did you just? Yes. Her voice was soft, but carried the weight of a command that bent reality around her. I suppressed their directional impulses. They will move again when I permit it. That's mildly terrifying. I prefer the term practical. The hall's chaos condensed into a single storm of hostile eyes watching them from above. Counselor Heir, older, tall, his ears adorned with silver rings marking him as high governance, leaned over the railing. This is absurd, Heir barked. Your Highness, annul the resonance before the bond stabilizes. That human is unvetted, unranked, and unfit. Sailira's luminous patterns rippled in cool defiance. The resonance does not ask for your permission. It does when it involves the royal heir. Then perhaps the royal heir should be allowed to speak for herself. The room erupted again, but she ignored them, turning back to Aaron with a steadying breath. Up close, her glow softened, becoming gentler than the fierce radiance she wore for the council. Aaron, she said quietly, the first resonance is ancient, older than our recorded governance. A wish spoken with sincerity, if heard by one of royal lineage, creates a potential bond. If acknowledged, it must be tested. If completed, it becomes irreversible. Irreversible as in marriage. Aaron felt all oxygen evacuate his skull. Does anyone else think we're skipping several critical steps here, like conversations, eye contact longer than 10 seconds? Sailira blinked slowly, thoughtfully. Would it comfort you to know that I am equally overwhelmed? A little. Would it comfort you less to know that half this chamber would prefer I choose someone they can control? That would actually make everything worse. Correct. Another counselor shouted from above, voice sharp like shattering crystal. This cannot proceed. The human is barely trained, barely sensory-aware. He lacks refinement. Sailira's eyes chilled. He has honesty, which is more refinement than any of you have exhibited in years. A wave of scandalized gasps spread across the balcony. 3 guards regained motion, shaking off the suppression field. Sailira tightened her fingers slightly and they froze again. Aaron exhaled shakily. Okay, so what exactly happens now? We proceed to the resonance chamber, Sailira said. A formal test under controlled observation. Test of what? Compatibility, intention, emotional resonance patterns. She hesitated. You may reject the bond at any time before the test begins, but once inside, the outcome is binding. Binding, Aaron repeated weakly, as in, yes, permanent. He rubbed his face. This was the worst possible day to have a nervous habit of whispering thoughts to himself. He had accidentally invoked a royal marital protocol, a magical one, in a hall of alien nobles. But Sailira's expression stopped his spiraling thoughts. For all her beauty and power, she looked hopeful, and beneath that, afraid, not of him, but of being forced backward into the political machinery she clearly despised. Aaron Hale, she said softly, you may walk away. I will not hold you to what was spoken if you disavow it. He met her eyes. They were impossibly bright, reflecting him in full detail, as though she had been waiting her whole life for someone who wasn't performing, calculating, or posturing. Do you want the bond? Aaron asked quietly. She inhaled sharply, her bioluminescence pulsing. It was the first time she seemed caught off guard. Yes, she admitted, I do. That one word hit him harder than the entire council screaming. A guard captain finally broke free of the suppression field. Your Highness, this is reckless. Sailira didn't even turn. If any of you attempt to touch him without his consent, I will consider it a direct assault on the crown. Aaron's eyes widened. You're very intense. I am heir to the Eltharin sovereignty, she said simply. Intensity is expected. The counselors argued furiously as Sailira gently reached toward Aaron, not touching but close enough that he felt warmth from her skin. Walk with me, she murmured. He followed her down a glowing corridor lined with swirling patterns of shifting light. They passed statues older than Earth's oldest empires, murals depicting ancient bonds, and guards who stiffened in shock as the princess escorted a human beside her. Aaron kept his voice low. You're taking an enormous risk. So are you. I'm pretty sure I'm only risking an aneurysm. That is not the only danger present. She stopped in front of a vast circular doorway carved with flowing script. The resonance chamber, she said. Right, the place that decides if we accidentally get spiritually married. She glanced down, almost shyly, something he never expected from someone who could silence a room of senators with one command. Aaron, she said, voice softer now, when I heard your whispered wish, it was the first unfiltered truth I had received in years. No agenda, no political angle, just a human heart speaking. He swallowed. The sincerity in her voice made his chest ache. She took one slow breath. If we go inside, she whispered, our lives will change, mine irrevocably, yours beyond recovery. And if we walk away, Aaron asked. Her glow dimmed like a star lowering its light. Then I return to being a symbol, and you return to a life in which you will always wonder what might have happened if you'd said yes. Silence settled between them. Aaron had no idea what tomorrow looked like. He barely knew what next week looked like. The resonance chamber was unlike anything Aaron had ever seen. It wasn't a room, it was an atmosphere. A sphere of soft, floating crystal dust suspended in midair, rotating in slow spirals. Pale silver light pulsed through the particles, as if the chamber itself were breathing. Celira stepped onto the circular platform in the center and motioned for him to join her. The moment his foot touched the platform, the particles around them shimmered, shifting in response to their presence. Don't be alarmed, Celira murmured. The chamber reads intent. It will react to your heartbeat, your breath, your emotional frequency. My emotional frequency right now is 90% panic. That is acceptable, she said gently. Honesty is the foundation of resonance. The lights brightened, sensing her voice. A melodic tone rippled through the air, and Aaron felt something brush against him, an invisible warmth like sunlight on skin. What was that? Calibration. The chamber is analyzing your emotional clarity. Oh, good, perfect. Emotional analysis, my favorite pastime. Celira's luminous eyes softened. You are trembling. It's not every day I accidentally initiate a magical marriage exam. She took a slow breath, visibly gathering courage, then extended her hand toward him. She did not touch him. Her fingers hovered inches from his. In Aeltharin tradition, she whispered, the first physical contact in a resonance test must be offered by the royal heir. Aaron swallowed, and if I accept, then the chamber will bind our emotional currents together for the duration of the trial. Every thought you try to suppress will rise. Every fear, every hope, every truth. That sounds horrifying. It is, she admitted softly, but I will be just as exposed. He stared into her eyes. That unguarded vulnerability was more disarming than any political power she held. Aaron lifted his hand, and he let their fingers touch. The moment their skin met, the chamber ignited. Light surged upward in a spiral of silver fire. Crystalline dust shot into the air, weaving patterns around them. A vibration passed through Aaron's bones, warm, deep, ancient. Celira inhaled sharply, eyes widening. Your resonance, it's brighter than I anticipated. Is that good? She hesitated. It is rare. The platform beneath them glowed brighter, energy coursing outward. Then Aaron's mind opened. Not fully, just a flicker, a flash of a memory. Him as a child, lost in a storm shelter, whispering into the darkness because no one could hear him. The chamber held it for a brief second, then released it. Celira's voice wavered. Your fear of being unheard, it is powerful. Aaron froze. You saw that. Only what the chamber allowed, she said softly. It chooses what truths to reveal. Do not be ashamed. I'm not ashamed, he said quietly. Just exposed. That makes two of us, she whispered. The glow around her shifted, revealing a flicker of her own memory. Her standing alone in a colossal hall, dressed in ceremonial robes, her face expressionless as dozens of nobles bowed. And behind that mask, a crushing emptiness, the vision dissolved. Aaron blinked. You're lonely, he whispered before he could stop himself. Celira didn't deny it. Her voice was barely audible. You saw more than the chamber intended. Sorry. No, she said. It is relieving to be seen without asking. Before he could answer, the chamber's tone changed. A deep, resonant chime, Celira stiffened. The trial is beginning. What was all that before? Preparation. Oh, perfect. Fantastic. A ring of pale light circled their feet, then expanded across the floor in concentric patterns. It is reading us together now, Celira explained. Our merged resonance. Merged already. Yes, the moment we touched hands. Well, that seems fast. Aeltharin protocol values truth over time. Time can be manipulated, truth cannot. Aaron didn't have a response for that. The chamber dimmed, silence thickened, and then whispers, not voices, vibrations. Echoes of thoughts. Aaron heard Celira's heart spike and suddenly, impossibly, felt her fear. Not of him, but of losing this chance, of being forced to break the bond. Of returning to a life where she was nothing but an heir, a symbol, a tool. "Celira," he whispered. "I am here," she said, though her voice shook. "The chamber is amplifying connection. Do not let it frighten you." "It's not frightening," he murmured. "It's honest." Silver light passed between them, swirling around their joined hands. The resonance deepened, warm and heavy in Aaron's chest. Then, a sharp crack echoed through the chamber. The lights flickered. Celira's head snapped upward. Someone is interfering. Aaron's blood ran cold. Interfering with what? "With the resonance," she whispered. "They're trying to disrupt the trial." The chamber trembled. A second crack, louder this time. Celira's markings flared in alarm. "Aaron, hold on to me." He tightened his grip instinctively. The resonance surged, colors blurring around them as the chamber fought against the outside interference. Who would do this? Aaron shouted over the rising hum. "Counselors hostile to the bond," Celira said. "If they fracture the resonance now, it could." The platform jolted beneath them. "Kill us," she finished. Aaron blinked. "Kill us, as in dead. "Yes." "Well, that's great. Love that for us." Celira's voice sharpened with command. "Aaron, focus on me. Do not think of the chamber. Do not let fear dominate your resonance. Fear weakens the bond." "What strengthens it?" Her eyes locked onto his. "Truth." "You want truth right now?" "Yes, speak something true." The chamber shook harder, light bursting around them like sparks. Aaron's mind raced. Something true, something real, something that could anchor them both. He drew in a trembling breath. "I want this," he said. Celira froze, stunned. He continued, louder now. "I want you not because you're a princess, not because of the resonance, but because when you looked at me in that hall, I felt seen for the first time in years." Her breath caught, the chamber steadied slightly. Celira stepped closer, their foreheads nearly touching. "Then hear my truth," she whispered. "I have been waiting for someone who speaks without calculation, someone who sees me, not my title, someone who can reach me without fear." Another tremor. Aaron held her hands tighter, she held his back. The resonance flared violently, and then, a pulse of white light exploded outward from their bodies. The trembling stopped. The cracks quieted. The chamber stabilized, glowing steady and strong. Celira exhaled in relief. "We held." Aaron sagged. "So we passed." Celira's eyes widened, then softened into something warm, intensely warm. "No," she whispered. "We did." The chamber doors hissed open with a low, harmonic groan, as though releasing a breath it had been holding for centuries. Aaron blinked at the sudden shift. Light, air, gravity all felt subtly different now, as if the world outside didn't quite operate on the same rules as the one he had just walked out of. Celira stepped beside him, luminous markings still glowing faintly from the resonance. The glow matched his pulse. That alone was enough to scramble his thoughts. Waiting for them was an entire phalanx of guards, and behind them, Counselor Heir. The look on Heir's face was not anger. It was fear disguised as authority. "Your Highness," Heir said, voice cold enough to frost steel, "the bond must be annulled immediately." Celira's expression did not shift, but the temperature in the hall seemed to drop. "You have no authority over royal bonds." "I have authority over the stability of our sovereignty," Heir snapped. "And this human, this outsider, now has direct influence over the heir to the throne." Aaron opened his mouth to defend himself, but Celira placed a light hand on his arm, subtle but unmistakably intimate. A murmur traveled through the guards. Celira ignored it. "Counselor," she said, "if you attempted to interfere with the resonance, you have already committed treason." A faint twitch flickered at Heir's jawline, small but unmistakable. The sabotage was him. Aaron felt Celira tense beside him. Her markings darkened, pulsing faint violet anger contained but sharp. Heir recovered quickly. "The chamber malfunctioned, that is all." "No," Celira said, her voice like sharpened glass. "The resonance nearly collapsed. That only happens when an external disruptor is deployed." Aaron spoke before he could second-guess himself. "He's lying." The guard stiffened. Celira slowly turned her eyes toward him, surprised, then intrigued. He realized she hadn't expected him to speak up. Humans weren't known for challenging Aeltharin nobility, much less in their first hour of being bound to royalty. Yet Aaron's voice remained steady. The timing was too precise. Whoever interfered knew exactly when the resonance would reach peak vulnerability. Celira's gaze warmed almost imperceptibly. She gave a small nod, permission to continue. Aaron stepped forward. You didn't sabotage the beginning of the trial because failure early on would look like a simple incompatibility. You waited until the bond was nearly sealed, because that's when you could claim that I corrupted it. Silence rippled across the hall. Heir's eyes narrowed. Human speculation. Human logic, Aaron corrected. If I were a political opponent, I would have sabotaged it the exact same way. Sailira inhaled faintly at that, something between amusement and admiration. Aaron wasn't done. And since the chamber doesn't store telemetry, only real-time resonance signatures, there's no way to prove your innocence. That line was intentional. A trap, because guilt reacts, innocence doesn't. Heir reacted, he flinched. Half a heartbeat, barely perceptible, but Sailira saw it. Everyone saw it. The princess's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. You attempted to break a sacred bond ceremony. Your Highness, you endangered my life. Heir took a step back. And his, she added quietly. That last part was the most shocking, not to Aaron, but to the counselors who froze at the implication. The princess valued him, not as a political tool, not as a bond obligation, but as someone whose safety mattered to her personally. Heir found his voice again, but it was strained. You are blinded by resonance. Humans are emotionally manipulative. Aaron scoffed. I didn't manipulate anything. If I had, trust me, I would have aimed for a bond that doesn't come with assassination attempts. One of the guards coughed to hide a laugh. Heir's face darkened. This cannot stand. I demand he be put under observation until the elders review the resonance. Sailira tilted her head, denied. You have no right. I am the heir, she said, voice slicing through the air. My bond is beyond your jurisdiction. The hall plunged into silence. A moment later, Sailira turned toward Aaron. We are leaving. He followed her down a corridor lined with shimmering walls that shifted color in response to her emotional state, currently deep blue with streaks of bright gold. When they reached a private gallery, she finally stopped. Her breathing was shallow, her glow flickering in erratic pulses. Aaron hesitated. Sailira, are you okay? She turned toward him slowly. I am not accustomed to anyone defending me in council chambers. Wait, no one has ever. Never, she looked down, voice softening. I have always been expected to fight alone. Aaron frowned, then they're idiots. Her eyes lifted, shocked. Idiots. Yeah, I mean you're powerful, brilliant, terrifying in a good way. Who wouldn't want to be on your side? Her markings flickered with warmth, and she took a step closer, not touching him, but closer than protocol should have allowed. You continue to surprise me, she whispered. You speak to me like I am not royalty. That's because you're more than royalty. Her breath caught. Aaron cursed himself internally. He hadn't meant to say that out loud, but apparently the resonance made him honest enough to be dangerous. Sailira moved even closer. Aaron Hale, what did you mean? That he struggled with the words. You're a person who deserves someone in her corner, someone who doesn't see you as a title. A soft light bloomed across her skin, and then unexpectedly she reached toward his face. Her fingers hovered an inch from his cheek. May I? She whispered, Aaron's heart hammered. Yes. Her hand touched his skin, barely, gently, but the warmth that shot through him was unmistakable. Resonance wasn't magical energy. It was recognition, connection. A depth of feeling amplified by shared vulnerability. Sailira's eyes softened. Your warmth, it is overwhelming. Is that bad? No, she breathed. It is comforting. Aaron swallowed. Sailira, what happens now? She lowered her hand but didn't step away. Now we prepare. The council will attempt again to break us apart. Some may resort to violence. Violence against you. Against us. Aaron nodded. Then they'll have to go through me. Her glow brightened. You would protect me. He met her eyes without hesitation. I already did. Her breath hitched just slightly. The corridor lights flickered, dimmed, and then shifted to a pulsing amber tone. Warning. Intrusion detected. The air itself seemed to tighten. Aaron drew back behind the pillar as Sailira stepped forward, her posture transforming from elegant royalty into something far more dangerous. A silhouette detached itself from the far wall, tall, lean, clad in matte black. The figure moved with predatory silence, and even without seeing the weapon in his hand, Aaron felt the intent ripple off him like static. Sailira exhaled once. The glow along her arms brightened from soft silver to sharp electric white. Assassin, she whispered. Aaron froze. He's here for us, she finished. The assassin lunged. Sailira moved before Aaron even processed it. A whip of light unfurled from her palm, a razor-thin arc of pure resonance energy. It sliced through the air, intercepting the assassin's blade with a burst of sparks. The sound echoed through the hall like struck crystal. Aaron ducked instinctively as Celira spun, every motion a perfect blend of precision and fluidity. The assassin struck again, faster this time, and she met each blow with effortless, terrifying grace. Aaron had known she was strong. He had not known she was lethal. The assassin changed tactics, flipping backward and throwing 3 thin metallic shards. They glittered midair, adjusting direction as if guided by intelligence. Celira responded in a heartbeat. She lifted both hands, and the shards froze 10 centimeters from Aaron's chest. Suspended, vibrating, held in place by nothing but her will, Aaron stared. Celira. Her voice was tight, strained. Move. He dropped to the floor an instant before she released the suspended shards. They shot backward at a speed he couldn't track, slamming into the wall where the assassin had been a moment earlier. The assassin dodged, twisting with inhuman flexibility. Aaron's brain caught up to the situation just enough for panic to bloom. There's only one of him, right? A second shadow dropped from the ceiling. Celira swore under her breath in her native language, beautiful, furious, musical. 2, she corrected. Great, Aaron muttered, just great. The second assassin moved for him. Celira didn't hesitate, she leapt. Her landing cracked the floor. A flash, white, blinding, radiated from her palms. Energy rippled outward, catching the second assassin in a wave that threw him into a column with enough force to dent the metal. Aaron blinked through the shock. You can do that. Celira grabbed his wrist, pulling him behind her. I can do much more, but it drains resonance. Stay close. Close as in. Her voice lowered, urgent. Physical proximity amplifies the bond. It strengthens me. And you. Before Aaron could question what that meant, the first assassin reappeared, right behind them. Celira spun too slowly. Aaron moved before thinking, not with grace, not with strategy, just raw instinct. He grabbed the first thing he could find, a fallen decorative vase that weighed at least 15 pounds. He swung it like a club, catching the assassin across the jaw. The impact echoed down the hallway. The assassin stumbled. Celira seized the opening. She grabbed Aaron by the front of his uniform and pulled him flush against her. The shock of contact flooded his senses, warmth, electric tingling, something deeper, resonant. Their bond ignited. The air hummed. Celira's pupils expanded as her power surged, fed by the sudden, intense closeness. Her glow erupted, not soft but radiant, molten, blinding. The assassin froze mid-motion, as if locked in place by pure gravitational force. Celira's whisper brushed Aaron's ear. Do not move. He couldn't have even if he wanted to. The energy between them felt alive. Celira extended her other hand, and the air thickened. The assassin convulsed as light wrapped around him like a shimmering net. Then, silence, the assassin collapsed. Aaron exhaled shakily. Hate to point out the obvious, but they're going to keep coming, aren't they? Yes, Celira whispered. They will not stop until the bond is broken. Too late for that. Her eyes found his bright, fierce, softened by something dangerously close to affection. I know. Before either could say more, Celira staggered. Aaron caught her without thinking. Her body felt suddenly lighter, trembling. You're hurt, he said. No, she murmured. Just depleted. Resonance demands balance. The chamber, the sabotage, the fight. It is too much too quickly. Aaron guided her back against the wall. What do you need? Her breath warmed his neck. Contact. He blinked. Contact, or... Her voice trembled. Your touch stabilizes the bond. The closer you are, the easier it is for me to recover. Though, Aaron swallowed, then placed a hand gently against her cheek. Her eyes fluttered closed. Light traveled across her skin like ripples across water. Her breathing evened. A soft, involuntary sound escaped her throat, half relief, half something else. I can feel your heartbeat, she whispered. I can feel yours too, Aaron said, confused and awed. That is the bond, she murmured. Our resonance is aligning. How aligned are we talking? He asked softly. Her eyes opened slowly, glowing, tender, vulnerable in a way he had never seen. Aaron, she whispered, leaning into his touch, I trust you. The words hit him harder than any blow. She continued, voice barely audible. I have never trusted anyone this quickly, never let anyone close, never allowed anyone to see me like this. Aaron swallowed. You don't have to say that. I do, she said, because you stood against the council for me, because you defended me without hesitation, because when death closed in, you moved toward me instead of away. Her hand covered his, and because I feel something with you I have not felt in my entire life. Aaron's chest tightened. What do you feel? He whispered. She held his gaze. Safe, she said softly. I feel safe. The corridor fell into stillness, but the moment was cut short by a distant, echoing boom, heavy footsteps approaching. Celira tensed. More are coming, stronger ones. Aaron helped her stand. Then we get out of here. There is only one safe place left, she said. Where? She met his eyes. The royal sanctum. Where all the council opponents can't follow. Where none dare follow, she corrected. And how far is that? Far. Aaron took her hand, gripping it firmly. Then let's move. For the first time since he arrived on this world, Celira smiled, not the formal diplomatic kind. The deeper they ran into the palace, the brighter the luminescent pathways became, like veins of light guiding them forward. Celira's grip on Aaron's hand was tight, anchoring him, even as her steps grew unsteady from exhaustion. Almost there, she breathed. Aaron glanced behind them. The hall was empty, but the echoes of pursuit lingered, heavy footsteps, metal scraping stone, rhythmic and patient. Whoever was coming wasn't rushing. They were confident, too confident. The corridor narrowed, then opened into a towering circular doorway carved with twin spirals of crystal. Celira placed her palm against the center. The door recognized her instantly, light flaring outward like sun rays. The doors parted. Inside was silence. A vast chamber lit only by soft floating orbs. The air felt untouched, sacred. The royal sanctum, Celira said. No one enters without the heir's permission, not even the High Council. Aaron stepped inside behind her, but she turned and held his wrist. Once I seal the doors, we cannot leave until dawn. The sanctum protects, but it also binds. That's fine, Aaron said softly. I trust you. Her breath hitched. She sealed the door, but the instant the mechanism locked, a slow clap echoed through the sanctum. Aaron and Celira spun around. A figure stepped from behind a tall crystalline pillar. Heir. But not as he'd appeared before, no council robe, no ceremonial jewelry. Now he wore sleek armor traced with dark veins of resonant material. Illegal. Forbidden. Celira's eyes widened. You used forbidden resonance stabilizers. That's how you disrupted the chamber. Heir bowed mockingly. Very good, Your Highness. You tried to kill us. I tried to correct a mistake before it forever altered our people. His voice was cold, measured. The crown cannot merge with a human. Your bond is an abomination. Aaron stepped forward. Funny, because earlier you seemed worried it would work. It did work, Heir said flatly, which is why it must end here. He lifted a small device, shaped like a crystal shard wrapped in metal coils. It pulsed in jagged, broken rhythms. Celira inhaled sharply. That's a resonance severer. Aaron frowned. Is that bad? It unmakes bonds, she whispered. Painfully, Heir smiled. And if the bond breaks violently enough, the human will likely die. Aaron's grip tightened around Celira's hand. And her. She will survive, Heir said, but weakened, bendable. Molded back into the air she was meant to be. Celira stepped in front of Aaron. You will not touch him. Move, Heir said, raising the device. No. He pressed the trigger. A pulse erupted, dark, crushing like gravity collapsing inward. Aaron cried out as a searing wave tore through his chest. Not physical pain, something deeper, ripping through the resonance itself. Celira gasped, stumbling. Their bond flickered. Aaron felt it fray, thin threads pulling apart, each strand snapping like nerves being cut. Celira's markings flared wildly. Aaron, hold on to me. He reached for her, but Heir struck again. Celira collapsed to her knees. Aaron's vision blurred. He tried to crawl toward her, but the force hammered him back. Heir advanced slowly, savoring the collapse. You see, humans are fragile. They cannot withstand resonance strain. Aaron forced himself upright. I can withstand anything if I'm not doing it alone. Heir laughed, pathetic. Not pathetic, Celira rasped, lifting her head. Human. Her glow flickered, unstable but fierce. Heir's eyes narrowed. You cannot fight. The bond is unraveling. Celira shook her head. No, she whispered. It is stabilizing. Aaron blinked. It is. And then he felt it, her hand searching blindly for his, finding it, gripping it tight. A surge passed between them. Recognition. Trust, choice, not the chamber's resonance, their resonance. Celira rose unsteadily to her feet. We decide our bond, not you. The air around her began to hum, soft at first, then louder, until the sanctum walls vibrated in response. Heir stepped back. Impossible. Aaron stood with her, shoulder to shoulder. You really should stop underestimating her. Or me, Celira added. The shared glow between them brightened, silver for her, warm gold for him. The colors spiraled upward, weaving around each other like twin threads. The bond reformed, stronger, complete. Heir's device shrieked, overloaded by the surge. No, no. Celira's hand rose. Light erupted from her palm, pure, blinding radiance that wrapped around Heir like a tidal wave. There was a sound like cracking stone, and Heir was thrown backward, slammed into the sanctum wall with force that shattered the crystalline surface. He collapsed unconscious. Silence. Celira swayed. Aaron caught her before she could fall. She curled into him, trembling, breath unsteady, markings flickering between exhaustion and relief. "You're safe," Aaron whispered. Her voice was barely audible. "I was more afraid for you." He brushed a stray lock of luminous hair from her face. "I'm right here." She shivered, not from cold, but from the overwhelming energy still settling between them. "The bond saved us." "No," Aaron corrected softly. "We saved each other." She looked up at him then, really looked, and something shifted in her gaze. A softness, a warmth that felt like sunlight breaking through cloud. "Aaron Hale," she whispered, "I chose the bond because it felt right. I chose it because it was you." Her breath caught. Slowly, carefully, she lifted her hand and placed it against his cheek, not asking this time. "Then hear this," she said quietly. "I will protect you, stand with you, and remain bound to you, not because resonance demands it, but because I want you." Aaron swallowed hard. Celira.
Wow, mucho tiempo.
Para que veas lo tanto que nos tardamos en entrar a Alemania. Nos tardamos 1 hora para entrar, cabrón. 1 puta hora, güey.
It should be like right ahead. You should be able to see it's purple.
Quiero
Ya me
completar.
compras mi taquito y mis papitas.
¿Cuál taco y cuál papita? ¿De qué hablas?
Así estaba de carga la fila para entrar.
No, más gente, güey. Menos gente, digo. Perdón. Mira, hombre, ¿qué está?
Yo vengo llegando de trabajar.
A huevo, ¿cómo te fue? Ay, güey, eso sí es un chingo de caminar.
Háblale a una mail, dile que si hacen colaboración en Omni.
No.
Me gustan los nuevos emotes Hera.
¿Cuál es nuevo? Ah, sí. Patrocinados por Andra.
Como siempre, de la VRT.